center. Yeah.
How's that? That's better?
We're going to get you perfect right there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you slide a little, yeah, we can keep them there, right, Jeff? Perfect.
Yeah,
Oh,
shit.
take your time. You're good.
Yourself.
We'll get you set up.
Let me see. Let me find something stable here.
Yeah. We don't want you to fall off the screen mid-interview.
Right. Let me find something I can hold it in place. Let's see.
Real quick. I was wondering. No biggie. He's going to get squared away here.
How's that? That's better?
Yep. We're going to go live on YouTube in a minute here, so I'll let you know. Oh, is he good there, Jeff?
Yeah. How's that? Center.
Perfect. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate all that. So I'm just going to do an intro, okay? Once we go live on YouTube.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for your time. So I'm Eddie Ramos. This is the Sunday Sit-Down Series. We're going to be joined today by Dat Nguyen, a professional boxer and now 2-0 in bare knuckle fighting championships. Dat, welcome to the Sunday Sit-Down Series. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Eddie. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
So, Dat, as we learn about you today, inside and outside of the ring, we're going to start by sharing your story. Yeah. Talk to us about your upbringing, where you're from, and about your childhood.
I was born in Vietnam, and I come to the United States at 8 years old, and I grew up in Hawaii, graduated school there, and after high school, I was gonna go to college or join the military, and I enlisted. I enlisted for the Marines, so I thought I was ready to be shipped out to boot camp. And next thing I know, I got a scholarship for boxing, part of the Olympic Training Center. So I took that scholarship. I talked to my recruiter and he said, take the scholarship. And that was in 2001. So I spent about 3 years there. One of my teammates at the Olympic Training Center is Timothy Bradley. He's the most well-known out of my team who made it big and fought Pacquiao 3 times. A couple other big names out there. But he's the most well-known one out of my school. So after 2004, I didn't make the Olympic team, and I turned professional, and I went boxing. Yeah.
So you essentially were on the cusp of going to the Marines, and you said you got an offer while you were in Hawaii growing up to get a scholarship to go to the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah.
Wow.
For boxing. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people that don't know who Dat is, if you haven't seen him in bare knuckle, he had a very illustrious career, and as we get into that, been very successful. Also owns a restaurant, and we're going to talk more about that. He's based out of Vero Beach now. So, Dat, growing up in Hawaii, how was that? I've never been.
Right. I grew up in Hawaii. There's a lot of Asian and local people there. So, I fit right in. The weather is nice, just like where I'm living right now in Vero Beach, Florida. I grew up there doing kickboxing. A lot of people don't know that I'm a martial artist too, because I did karate. My coach was a karate coach, a 6th-degree Kempo black belt. So I learned from him a lot. And then, because karate tournaments and kickboxing, and to stay active, we fought boxing too, So, and then, I did boxing. I went to state junior Olympics, and, I did really well. So that offered me a route to go professional and got a scholarship there. But, back then in Hawaii, MMA was just growing because in Hawaii they have the mentality of if you have a problem with each other, you take care of it in the street. There's no guns involved, nothing. So that's a local guys. So how MMA got really big in Hawaii, and that's how we got BJ Penn and everybody else.
Wow. So learning about the sport and kind of settling your differences on the street, essentially, that's interesting. So your first experience prior to the Olympic, the scholarship, would be in the street,
Right.
essentially, or talk to us about kind of your first intro into boxing in the MMA world.
Um, See, when I went to the Olympic Training Center, I was so focused on making the Olympic team, and you either if you're gonna choose the combat route, you're either gonna go MMA or you're gonna go boxing. As that's the only two sports that you could go professional in. And the UFC was just brand new in the early 2000s. They were brand new. And I'm a kickboxer, a Muay Thai fighter, a karate, martial arts, and I did wrestling. I did 4 year varsity wrestling in high school. I was two-time state placer. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
So I have a background in wrestling too. A lot of people think they could just take me and take me down. Actually they can't because I'm really fast and I'm really strong. So I do have some wrestling background, and so that's I think I would do really well in MMA. I always interested in MMA because it's a full spectrum of martial arts. You can use your hands, you can use your legs, you can use your takedown, all that combined. But I just did boxing for so long, and bare knuckle came about, and that's why I said I talk to a lot of friends in the combat sports. I wanted to do everything, but bare knuckle just give me the opportunity, and now that I have two fights in there.
Wow. Yeah, it reminds me of David Mundell, another fighter out of Florida who's done bare knuckle, boxing, and MMA all in the same year. So you have a vast background.
Wow.
Yeah, a tough fighter. Obviously, when head up with Hector Lombard, a great fighter as well. So it just reminded me of that as you talked about your vast experience in the different fields of combat sports. That's awesome. A lot of people don't know that about you. Answer the question down the road here. Something most people don't know about you is that you do have that background. That's truly astonishing. Talk to us, Dat. As far as you get to the Olympic Training Center, your goals are set on making this Olympic team. You're working with a guy like Timothy Bradley. In your mind, you don't make the team, you go pro immediately. That was kind of, you know what, I didn't make it. I'm going to go into the pro circuit and see what I'm made of.
Right. For me, growing up as being Vietnamese and Asian, my mom, she always wanted me to have a well-educated background. And so when I did, went to college, I took the ASVAB and I was going to join the Marines. And I scored almost a perfect on the ASVAB. So basically, I was qualified for any job I want. I was taking ROTC in high school. So, I was really interested in the military. I was disciplined for that kind of, thing. So when I went to the Olympic Training Center, my whole focus from my mom was like, you need to graduate. And what I took up in college was computer implementing systems for any job I. So all my teammates they were taking easy class because they were like, at school, I just want to do boxing, I want to get the Olympic teams and make millions of dollars. Me, I was struggling. I was taking calc. The whole focus from my mom was like, you need to graduate. And what I took, I got all this schoolwork and low work, so it was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to make the Olympic team. Because I was number
Right.
two at that time in 2003. I was number two
Wow.
in the United States, ranked. I was only behind, one other dude, and I know I could beat him because we fought a few times and it was a really close fight. He ended up making the Olympic team. His name is Mickey Bay. And he went professional and he became a world champion.
Right.
He signed with Floyd Mayweather. So we about the same age. So, that was just between me and him really to make the Olympic team. And, I just got so much pressure and stress. I didn't make it, and I just went professional. Yeah.
Wow. And as you share that story about competing against a guy like Mickey Bay and your vast experience, I give you so much credit with your attitude and staying the course, that persistence, the consistency, and knowing. And now you're in a position where you're a big show in the BKFC, man, and I'm so glad to see that you've been able to take that consistency and staying the course. And a lot of young fighters should look up to you and say, "Wow, this guy didn't make the Olympic team, but it didn't stop there. This guy didn't get the fair shot, was always on the B side." There's so many politics, and we'll get into that, as you know. But you've been so consistent, and I'm so happy to see that you've continued and stayed the path, man. I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So as we move into your pro career, talk to us about that first pro fight and your experience putting the gloves on for the first time on the pro circuit, and talk to us about your pro debut. If we could take you back that
Right.
far.
Once that was 2004, May 1st, 2004. I was on the undercard of Carmen Cintron. He was actually, we were training with Marshall Kaufman. He lives in Pennsylvania. Basically he picked me up under his arm and turned me pro there. And because his son was my teammate as well, Travis Kaufman. He was a heavyweight. He fought a couple big names out there and made pretty good money.
Yeah, I've seen him.
So yeah. So anyway, he had Carmen Cintron. Carmen was a big name. He was undefeated. He became IBF world champion at 147.
Carmen Cintron.
So I was the undercard, and you know who was on the ring announcer was Michael Buffer. Like my pro debut, Michael Buffer, the most renowned ring announcer out there.
Yes, sir.
And he came to me. He's like, "So how do you pronounce your name?" And I said, "Dat Nguyen, win, like winning." And he's like, "Okay, I got it." Oh, so he announced my name, and the bell ring. We fought. The first round, I knocked the guy out. 1 minute 30 seconds, I knocked him out. I'm telling you, I was training very hard, and I mean, I got good power. So I knocked him out, and then Michael Buffer was like, "What? So you a superstar now, huh?" I was like, "No, it's my first pro fight, And we actually it was the main event with the promoter. It was on NBC. So yeah, so I had a bright future in my pro debut, and main event was looking to sign me, so I had another fight with them, and then basically Marshall Kaufman wanted to sign me on their contract, and there was a lot of I was a little skeptical about signing contracts with people, because I heard a lot about fighters getting signed and getting screwed, so
right.
I never signed with him, and so everything kind of fell off the map, and then I moved away. I moved down here in Florida, and I had the opportunity to spar with Arturo Gatti, because Arturo Gatti was signed with Main Event, and he basically was one of the biggest names under the Main Event banner in that time in 2004-5. It was in 2005.
Wow.
And I came down here in Florida and trained with Arturo Gatti and spar with him because he needed a short fighter. And I was that fighter that he needed. I think he was gonna fight Jesse James Leha on HBO.
Wow.
So I came and sparred with him and did really well, and then that's how I got hooked up down here, and I've been down here since in Florida.
It's truly astonishing. We had Arturo Gatti Jr. on the show last month, and truly, it's amazing to hear you got in the ring with Arturo Gatti and that experience at such a young age. The vast experience and being in the ring with a guy, with Michael Buffer announcing your pro debut. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That's amazing.
Right.
So talk about your relationship with your coaches early on, and how you've gotten to this point now. You've had a number of coaches. You've had different camps. Talk to us about that experience and how that works in the boxing world.
Yeah, at first I trained with Marshall Kaufman. He was a really good trainer. He has very well knowledge. Right now, I think he's one of the biggest promoter in Pennsylvania, I think. He picked me up under his wing because I know his son, Travis Kaufman. We were roommates in the Olympic Training Center. But, I never been to the ghetto. We basically stay in Reading, Pennsylvania, and that's like I think one of the top 10 murder rate in the United States, For me to come out in Hawaii, in paradise, and to go to northern Michigan in 6 foot of snow, and then going to Pennsylvania in the ghetto, living in the city where townhouses next to each other. It was a shock for me, but I was focused on in boxing, so I learned a lot and I get to experience a lot. And then I came down here to Florida before Tour Gotti, and I really liked the area here. The beach is right next door,
Scenery.
and I just been here since, because it relates to Hawaii because it's so tropical, similar to Hawaii, and I've been here since. And I trained with Buddy. Buddy was a well-known fighter. Buddy McGirt, it was a world champion, Hall of Fame trainer, and all the big name fighters were down here in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8. He was one of the what the trainer of the year when he had a Torigati.
Yes.
Yeah, he was voted trainer of the year. And Mike Tyson would be down here. Lemon Brewster, any of the big names were down here training. So I wanted to be in the spot.
You were definitely in with the big names and learning, and that experience helped you as you moved on in your career. Talk to us about some other fights in your career. Obviously, there's been gaps as we saw towards the end, but let's talk about the middle of your career and kind of what transpired that got you to. You had some gaps towards the end of the career. You obviously own a business. Let's talk about that and how that played into why you go on BoxRec and you look at, okay, I was off for 2 years. I fought twice in this year. But you had a business, and a lot of people didn't know that. Talk to us about your business and how you had to balance both career in the ring as well as outside.
See, this is what happened in 2008. I had a fallout with my manager. Basically, the two managers that signed me in Florida, we had a fallout, and basically I wasn't happy with them, and I wanted to be released from the contract, but they wanted to keep me on in contract and basically overseeing all my fights. And Top Rank, Golden Boy, they were offering me fights. They were offering me because they know I was a good fighter, but I didn't. Basically they wanted to test me against their fighter, their A fighter. So they know I was a good fighter, but they always give me. So in 2008, I had a fallout with my manager, and I was going through so much stress. So in 2010, I was like, I'm not fighting. I'm not making no money. I have no income from my manager that is supporting me, during my career. So I opened Miracle Boxing Academy. I opened a boxing gym basically, to train people fitness, train people boxing, and that's what I did. That's how I made a living. And from 2010 to now, it's 10 years since I had the gym.
Wow.
And so that's what I did. It made me became a better fighter because when you start to teach people, you remember everything, the foundation. So you're going back to your roots again. And during that time, I still didn't have a manager, didn't have a promoter, and that's why I had 2 losses on my record because Golden Boy would offer me a fight and say, "Hey, I have this kid that's undefeated. We want to test him against you. We know you can beat him, but I know I could beat him too. But it's just that I was training by myself. I didn't have a trainer. Buddy was training fighters in California, in Germany. So Buddy was basically my trainer, but he wasn't around.
Virtual.
So
virtual training.
Yeah. So I basically just training myself, get myself in shape, and that's why there was a lot of gap in between my fights. Every 2 years.
So you get to a point, and then you're getting in the ring with these guys that are undefeated. A guy like Jason Velez, for instance, a solid Puerto Rican fighter. You fight a guy like this, and you're back on the big stage. So there's a gap. You have your gym. When did you open the restaurant, and how did that play into? Now you're balancing the gym. You're balancing your career. You're essentially training on your own, and then you open a restaurant. I mean, that's a lot on the plate for a professional fighter.
A lot of people don't know, but my last 3 fights, I basically self-trained.
That's impressive.
When I beat the kid, I beat Miguel Flores. I was basically self-training. I was training, and I had my student hold the pads for me. I just need somebody to hold the pads, and I wrote down all my favorite all the combinations I'm gonna throw because a lot of time when you train with new trainers, you're gonna have to learn new combinations from your trainer. And the way you train is the way you're gonna fight. And so when I was self-training myself, I just basically wrote down all my combinations and give the blueprint to my students. Say, look, this is how you hold the pads for me. This is how I want the pad to be hold, and this is the combination I want you to hold for me to catch for me, because that's the combination I'll be throwing in a fight. So when I fought Miguel Flores, a lot of the odds were 50 to 1 because they're like, oh, this guy don't have a trainer. He's coming in by himself and his friend, his student, and they basically had me, no chance of winning. So, but I had a different mindset. I was like, look, if I lose one more time, I basically to another undefeated kid, a main event on TV. So basically, we were the main event on Fox Sports,
Right.
and I was like, I gotta come in with a different mindset. Because the last two fights that I lost to an undefeated fighter was very close. Even though I lost, it was close. And this time I like, look, and I always gas out because they don't give me the full training camp. And I always gas
Right.
out by 7, 8 rounds because you're fighting in a 10 round fight, and you only have 4 weeks of training, and it's hard to go 10 rounds. So this time, I paced myself. I said, look, I'm not gonna start out trying to knock the guy out the first 2, 3 rounds. I said I'm gonna pick my slow. It's like a marathon run. You run slow, and then you finish strong. So that's what I did with Miguel Flores in 2017. I went in there and slowly I was just figuring him out. By the fifth round, I was like, I had this in the pocket. It's just a matter of time. I would break him down, and I knocked him out in the sixth round. And after that fight, my promoter was Marshall Covenant. Marshall Covenant, basically, he was my trainer when I first started professional.
Right.
And then, in 2004, so like 10 years later, he signed me to a contract to be my promoter.
Wow.
Because I like because he was promoting fights for Premier Boxing, PBC.
Correct.
So I call up Travis and I say, hey, I want to get back into fighting. And Marshall like, look, you sign with me, I'll get you back on TV, get you fighting. So after I beat Miguel Flores, the hope was high for me to fight for another big name and fight on TV.
Right.
And Marshall talked to El Heyman, and El Heyman was like, no, we don't want him. He's and so basically they just threw me off the map. Trying to put me on some undercard fight, and I got disappointed. I was like, I just beat an undefeated kid,
Right.
21 old, ranked number one in the war, and now I got no offer. And then all of a sudden, Marshall can only offer me to fight on some no TV fight on his show in Pennsylvania. You know, and I was very disappointed. And I said, I'm gonna quit boxing and I'm gonna do another business because I had the gym. I had the gym at that time for 7 years. So 2017.
Right.
And I said, I told my wife, like, you know what? Why don't we open up a restaurant? And because people gotta eat every day.
Right.
When you have a restaurant and you cook good food, people gonna support you. They're gonna come and eat.
Right.
And so I spent 2 years, building this restaurant. No restaurant experience, nothing. So I made a lot of mistakes. So about a year ago, this restaurant was grand open. The grand open of this restaurant, Miss Saigon restaurant. Let me show you guys around here.
Yeah.
It's really nice restaurant here. I'm here in the restaurant right now. It's closed until the evening, but you know, almost 3,000 square feet restaurant. 80 seats. With a nice bar. You can see the bar here. The bar
Wow.
here. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
awesome.
and the gym is right next door to me. That's the gym that I had for 10 years. But a lot of people don't know that. But I just recently, transferred the business side of the gym to a friend of mine, so he can take over and run the business side. I've been doing boxing, training people for 10 years, and I got a little exhausted now that I get the restaurant. I
A
want to
lot.
focus my interest, on the restaurant. So we basically transferred the gym to my friend, so he's gonna take over and run the business side. I'm still gonna be involved. I'm gonna still be training people there, but I just don't want to focus on the business side of it.
That's awesome. Talk about balance, man. That's truly
Hmm.
astonishing to be able to balance all of those. And now you step into another ring. Not only you
Right.
shared about some of your best moments, your most difficult. Prior to jumping into BKFC, we'll go back here a little bit. Who were some of your favorite fighters growing up, and who are some of your favorite fighters now? So, two-part question.
When I grew up, I look up to Oscar De La Hoya. I look up to Mike Tyson. I like, man, Mike Tyson's a beast. Back in the early '90s, he be knocking everybody out. He was the hottest fighter out there. And then Oscar De La Hoya, good looking fighter, making millions of dollars, Hispanic background. All the GER, HBO fighters. You know what I mean? I mean, everyone wanted to be an HBO fighter. And that was my goal, to go professional and be like somebody like Oscar De Hoya. I always look up to him, you know. So now, my favorite fighter now, I think is Pacquiao, because Pacquiao basically, amazing, from 122 pounds, 112 pounds, seven weight class world champion, and he's Asian too. Back then, before that, you would never see an Asian fighter, you know, dominate in the sport of boxing, and he came about, you know, and just took over boxing and became, from rag to riches, it's amazing. So I do look up to him now, when I said, and then as I get in older, I'm like, look, those guys are still fighting. When I was 20 something years old, I like, maybe at 30 something, I'll retire by then. But I'm at 30 something, like, I will beat my old self any day, because I have so much knowledge, and it's not about, youth. It's about wisdom. As you get older, you can beat your old self any day because from what you know. So I think I'm still in my prime, even though for the past 10 years, I only fought 5 times. Five
Right.
times. That's kind of unheard of,
Right.
In so I'm basically still got a lot of life left in my, because I never been in a tough fight, where a lot of punishment. I never been in that kind of fight. So
You have a lot of miles left on the vehicle there. I like it, man. And I like your attitude, and,
yeah,
and that's awesome. As I met you prior to your first bare knuckle fight in Tampa, I believe it was, um, the attitude you had, and you stepped into another type of ring. Talk to us about that experience, and how you took your vast background in combat sports into the bare knuckle circuit. Talk to us about the transition to bare knuckle fighting championships.
right. David Feldman. I met him about maybe 4 years ago. He was actually with Marshall Kaufman. That's when I first met him. And he was actually following Marshall around to learn the how to promote.
Wow.
And he was down here in Florida, and that's when I first met David. And I guess David had a plan. They were supposed to have the first bare knuckle fight in the Indian casino here at the Hard Rock Casino,
Wow.
and then the Indian got cold feet and they turned him down. That was in 2017. So imagine if bare knuckle was around in 2017. That, I mean, it would have been really big right by now.
Yeah.
But it's been 2 years. Then they've been legal. It took him 10 years to legal it. He pitched it to a lot of states. A lot of states turned it down. So
Right.
he did the first one in the middle of nowhere, and
Cheyenne, I
they
think it was
saw that it was,
Cheyenne, Wyoming. Excuse me.
yeah, Wyoming. So they saw that it was safe, and and then I contacted David. I said, look, please put me on there. My restaurant is open. I'm hungry to fight again. I wanted to get a good promoter that can promote me, and that's what David is. David is a good promoter. He basically, it's like the UFC. It's they're putting the best against the best. It's not like boxing where there's two different promoters and it's gonna be take forever to get the best of the best to fight each other. In bare knuckle, he's the biggest one out there, and he's like the UFC in bare knuckle.
Right.
So he's gonna put the best fight together and for the fans, and that's what I like.
Yeah, being under one banner definitely helps take the politics out of it. You also
Right.
have the same guy rapping everyone. There's no one that's trying to do anything outside of that ring to alter the fight, change anything. The politics are out the door. It comes down to what happens in the ring, and that's awesome. I'm glad that you're able to step into yet another ring and continue to grow your experience within combat sports. I mean, it's truly astonishing. In your last knockout, I'm pretty sure it went viral. You fought Abadel. I can't pronounce his name. My apologies to your last opponent.
Yeah.
You fought him down in Fort Lauderdale. Is that correct?
Yes, that fight was in Fort Lauderdale. Yes, Hector Lombard was the main event. Yeah.
So life came full circle for you. You went. You literally show up in 04, 05. You're sparring Arturo Gatti. You find yourself 14 years later, give or take, in Fort Lauderdale fighting bare knuckle, and you cap everything off, man. That's awesome. It's truly they're gonna write a book about you one day, my brother. So I want you to know that, and that's astonishing. Life's
Mm,
full circle like that. That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah, life is crazy. I mean, I've been around for so long, and now, I'm doing. Like I said, I'm always interested in fighting different martial arts. I would love to do UFC someday. My goal is to, win the big bare knuckle title, And then maybe if somebody wanted to offer me champion versus champion, I would like to fight the UFC champion or the boxing champion.
Wow.
Either in boxing rings or in bare knuckle. But I think those guys are too afraid to get into the bare knuckle ring. I mean, when you talk to people about bare knuckle, they're like, "What bare knuckle?" I mean, that's the true nature of boxing. Before they invented gloves. So boxing is bare knuckle boxing is the purest form out there.
That's interesting that you say that. Yeah, it's not for everyone. They're not going to be waiting at the door to sign up, that's for sure. So, Dad, as we transition and learn more about you outside of the ring now, talk to us about what you like to do in your free time. What are some of your interests outside of the ring?
Me, I don't, cause I got a family here. I got 3 kids, so when I do have free times, I take them out, go fishing. If we go to the beach is only about what, 2 miles away from my house. So we live in tropical, Florida here, and so pretty much I go fishing. Sometimes we pretty much it. When you're a family man, you don't do a lot of things. You do things with your family,
That's
and
awesome, man.
sometimes I take them to Disney Planet here down. Orlando's about 2 hours north of me, so things like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. As you say, you don't have that free time. Obviously, with operating the gym, operating a restaurant, continuing your pro
Right.
career, being a father, you should be very proud of yourself. Talk to us about your heritage, being from Vietnam. Talk to us how do you have goals and community involvement you want to do as your career winds down?
The difficult about Vietnamese athletes that lives overseas is just that see, this is a politics, right? Because Vietnam, how Vietnam was divided into two sections, the north and the south,
Right.
during the Vietnam War. uh, so Vietnam is unified as one country now, under the north. So the north is basically considered communist, and the south is considered democratic.
Mm,
It was a lot of politics between the
right.
Soviet Union and United States burned at that time. So, for me to be a Vietnamese athlete, for me to live in America, if I, a lot of people that live Vietnamese that live in America are from the South side, so they are basically anti-communist, right? So anytime you represent Vietnam with the word unified flag, because Vietnam right now is one country, it's nationally recognized, word recognized flag. It's basically the flag that was, the red flag with the yellow star, right?
Okay.
And I think that's the difference. Me, when I was fighting here, I didn't know any better. People tell me to carry the flag, the South flag, which has the 3 stripes. That was the Democratic side.
Okay.
But there's no longer a democratic Vietnam. You know what I mean? Vietnam is unified as one country now. So for me to carry that flag, I got censored out in Vietnam. People in Vietnam censored me out
Wow.
because the government in Vietnam, they're not gonna tolerate that because they consider that as I'm a foreigner. So I just want to be unified. So my last fight in bare knuckle, well, actually my first fight in bare knuckle, I was gonna come out with the Vietnamese national flag. Basically, it's called the communist flag. By a lot of people, Vietnamese that lives
Okay.
overseas, and they didn't like that. They basically called my promoter David and threatening him. Uh, my phone was blown up by my family side, so it was a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I was like, look, I just wanted to bring awareness to me being a Vietnamese athlete, and I can't even carry any flag. Basically, I have no heritage, no background, no origin. I want people to know where I was rooted.
Right.
So basically, I went in there because I'm American citizen right now, but my background, my
Right.
my heritage, my origin. But there was a lot of things going on. So now I just, that's the thing, the difficulty for a lot of Vietnamese athletes. That's
Mm,
why they don't have a lot of support from the Vietnamese people. Because you
wow.
got to pick side. It's like being a Confederate, uh, taking the Confederate flag or United States flag, because the United States basically, took over the Confederate.
Right.
So that's the same thing. It's like North Korea and South Korean.
It's tough.
That's like divided. you know I want Vietnam to be unified. I mean,
You have the right attitude, Dad, and as you continue to have your success, and one day I truly believe you'll be over there and you'll be able to share with the youth your story. So continue to press
Right.
on. Continue to press on. You've always had a great attitude. I remember walking into the room and go a little off the page here, and we're doing the bare knuckle raps, and you say, "Man, do I have to wrap my hands?" And just your attitude, man, and I want you to know, continue to pursue what you're doing, and one day you'll have that path to be able to show others, the youth. And as we wrap up today, what would you like to share with those youth that are interested in the sport of boxing, mixed martial arts overall? What would you like to share with them? What's your message to them?
If you're gonna choose combat sports, you're gonna have a lot of ups and downs if you don't have the right people behind you. I mean, look at those guys like Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather. They got the easy route. To tell you the truth, they got the easy route. They got a manager that put $1 million out in front of them before they even fought their first fight. Guys like me, we have to go the hard way. We're gonna have to, fight for pennies. Fight for nothing. Just to get your name out there and get the recognition, and then the money is gonna come. So that's what I hope for. Don't let people tell you you can't do anything, because only you can make it happen. So people always gonna doubt you. Like, I mean, who would think I would be where I'm at today? To be a restaurant owner, be a gym owner, being a fighter, fighting on TV. A lot of kids that look up to me and they say, "How you do it?" I always try to guide them. Say, "Look, you gotta believe in yourself, regardless what people tell you. You always gotta keep that focus and continue, continue, continue. One day you will get there if you don't stop."
That's awesome. Truly a story. Like I said, we'll be writing a book one day on Dat Nguyen, professional
Yeah.
boxer, also fights in bare knuckle fighting championships. And Dad, a couple little tidbits we wrap up with today are fast facts. What's a place you'd like to visit that you've never been?
Mm, I would like to go travel the world. That's my plan. So I guess once I retire, I want to travel the world, and because I grew up in Vietnam. I was born there, so I get to see a lot of things. That's how my mindset. A lot of people who never left the country, never left uh where they live, they're not gonna be able to see what the war is out there. The war is more than what we see. Now with technology, we can look up any places and learn about anything. So my goal is to travel the war and learn about the war culture. It makes you smarter. It makes you a better person to learn about other people's culture and how they live.
Couldn't have said it better. Your favorite food?
My favorite food, I like Italian food and Vietnamese food. I think Italian people make the best food. But I like Hispanic food too. I eat tacos. I eat, Puerto Rican food.
All right.
I pretty much, I love to eat. I live to eat, not eat to live. Some people they eat to live. I eat. I live to eat. So I enjoy food. I love dining out and eating good food.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
so I like all kind of food.
What's something that most
Yeah.
people don't know about you?
Let's see. I speak Vietnamese fluent. A lot of people think, oh, because right now I have a lot of new friends, new fan base from Vietnam. And they're like, oh, he only speak English, and I repeated, and I said, um, I can speak in Vietnamese too, but people never hear me speak it. So I said, uh, anh chào anh khỏe không? Like people, I speak fluent with the Vietnamese accent.
Okay.
So but I don't have a lot of Vietnamese where I live, so I rarely speak it. The only time I speak it is to my wife and my children. They speak English. I speak Vietnamese. They're like, what?
That's
but
awesome.
uh, but yeah, yeah.
So as we wrap up today, that during these difficult times, what would you like to say to everyone out there, the fans, and those tuning in today, watching the Sunday Sit Down series here?
you know, um, right now we're in a unique situation. Nobody ever had experienced this kind of pandemic. So a lot of people are losing jobs. Um, a lot of people are fed up with all this. The media are blowing it worse than what it is. I think. I read a lot. You know, like me, the town that I'm in, there's only a few cases of coronavirus. So I understand that a lot of people have concern about that, but mostly the elderly people are the one that is dying from this. So the media making it worse and worse. Every day you watch on the news, it's coronavirus, coronavirus. I don't even watch the news anymore because the news just want to sell things that people can tune in, and that's how they make money. The more viewership, the more money they make, from
Right.
the advertisement. So just take it one day at a time. Be clean. Anything you touch, you wash your hand, you be safe. You know. So hopefully we can overcome this and get back to a normal life because the way it is, a lot of people are hurting.
Right.
Especially like my restaurant. Usually I would do really well, but right now I'm probably only doing maybe 20% of what I'm usually doing. But it's a family run business, so I'm surviving. I'm making money. So I don't have a huge over budget, huge
Overhead.
what you call it, overhead. So I'm gonna be surviving because everybody gotta eat, regardless if you worry about coronavirus or not. You gotta go out and get some good food. So since Florida was locked down for 30 days, the governor just able to have people sit in again. And people are tired of staying home, so they come in and they eat and they enjoy. My restaurant is super clean. It's bright and clean here. So yeah.
Awesome. And that's Miss Saigon Restaurant in Vero Beach, Florida?
Yes, we're the only Vietnamese restaurant. And when like I said, when I first opened the restaurant a year ago, we're the only Vietnamese restaurant owner. So now I think there's another one, but we are the only authentic best Vietnamese food. If you ever come to Vero Beach, Florida, you know where to go.
I look forward to that opportunity. I might be down there in the coming months as we have more events going on throughout the state.
Yes,
So that is Dat Nguyen, professional boxer, vast experience, wrestler. We've learned so much about you, and we could see you in the UFC. We'll find out soon, and we could also see a bare knuckle fighter take on a pro boxer or another guy in the UFC. Eventually, you become a champion BKFC. I wish you all the best, my friend. Thank you so much for your time today. From myself, everybody in Team La Perla Boxing and MMA in Puerto Rico, we wish you all the best. Stay safe, and I look forward to having some food with you at Miss Saigon Restaurant.
thing you done for me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks again.
Take care, brother. Yeah.